As I mentioned off the top, training camps open for several NHL teams Wednesday, including the Toronto Maple Leafs, a team with one major question mark heading into the season. William Nylander is entering the final year of his contract and will be an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season.
We want to get Willie signed. Willie's a really good player. You want to keep your good players. Willie's expressed to me, him and I have talked, that he wants to be here. So that's usually a good starting point. And so we'll try to get it done.
Willie's going to start at center in camp tomorrow. So it's something, obviously, with that being the case, we have considered it. I've talked to Willie about it. Tree and I have talked a lot through the offseason about it. We'll commit to it for a bit here, and you know, not committing to any sort of specific period of time, but just to say it's not going to be a one-off or a one-day thing or a one preseason game. We want to give it some time, you know, to come together just to see what that looks like.
I really think he's someone who's built to play in Toronto, with the type of personality that he has and how he handles things. I know he's a very hardworking and very driven player, so we love him here, and you know, I think just going to push forward and you know, as we have every year, getting off on the right foot.
I think Willie can do whatever he puts his mind to. He's that good. He's that powerful. He's that strong. So yeah, I've been, you know, at times I've pushed William hard because I really believe in his ability, and I believe he can accomplish more. I know he wants to accomplish great things, so I think that's part of where we're on the same page, even though maybe sometimes we're not on the same page, because I'm pushing and challenging him and all of that. But there's common ground there where he wants to be great.
Jack Campbell signed that 5-year, $25 million deal with Edmonton prior to last season, but it was Stuart Skinner who started every game for the Oilers in the playoffs last year. The two are battling for that #1 goalie spot in Edmonton, but they still work together in the offseason.
Like, me and Stoop get along really well, thankfully. You know, that always makes things a lot better, especially in the dressing room. So, yeah, I mean, I've been skating with Stoop the last 2 weeks. He looks great. You know, we have a good competition with each other every single day on the ice, off the ice. We have our morning coffees and we kind of chat about some stuff, and it's been good. Like, him and I have a good, tight relationship.
Stu's awesome. You know, he obviously, as a goaltender, you all get to watch him and see how great he is. You know, fun to work with. I learn a lot from him on the ice, but off the ice, we have a very similar competitiveness, which is awesome, but kind of a care for each other. You know, he's a big reason I was able to get so much work done this summer off the ice. You know, he just gave me some good pointers, and you know, it just speaks volumes about the kind of person he is, and I'm just proud to call him my teammate.
Tampa Bay Lightning captain Steven Stamkos will be an unrestricted free agent after this season, and he spoke about his looming contract situation.
To be honest, I've been disappointed in the lack of talk in that regard. So it was something that I expressed at the end of last year, that I wanted to get something done before training camp started. There haven't been any conversations, so.
Are you willing to talk during the season or wait till after the season?
I'm ready whenever. So I guess that was something that I didn't see coming, but it is what it is.
Okay. I didn't see that coming from Steven Stamkos, did you? Let's go talk to Frankie Corrado. It's our first walk over the season. It's Frankie's first appearance on the show this season. Frankie, did you get that suit in Italy on your honeymoon this offseason?
No, but we're ready to go. New season.
Oh, man, you look fantastic. You look
you
tanned.
too.
You look rested. You look ready. Okay, let's talk about Willie Nylander going to center ice. Were you surprised at that, and how do you feel about it?
Well, it's not the first time this has happened. There's been times throughout the course of seasons where Willie's gotten a run at the center ice position. Ultimately, I don't think it lasts long. Willie is kind of built to play the wing. But if you are going to make this kind of maneuver, now's the time to do it. Why would you do it in the middle of the season when it's a little more panicked? You give him a little more runway here at training camp. He's going to be working in, getting reps at the right time when the stakes are a little lower, and he'll have a good runway to see if he can do it. like just from knowing Willie and being around him, he's a guy that, like, there's certain players that like hockey. There's guys that just love hockey and they want to be around the rink. They want to get better at everything they do. Willie's one of those guys. Ultimately, Jay, I just don't see him as a center iceman. I could see it being one of those things where there's going to be a missed coverage in a big game at a crucial moment, and it's going to happen more and more. And it's just going to be like one of those things where he's just not built to play the center ice position. He's built to play the wing, and you just put him in a position to succeed. And ultimately, that's on the wing.
Why? What do you make of this? Why now?
You could look at it from a number of different ways. You could look at it the John Tavares angle and say that maybe at some point he needs to move to the wing and Willie could be that center ice player. I would challenge that by saying John Tavares is one of the best face-off players in the league year after year. So if they're going to be playing on the same line, guess who's taking the face-offs?
Right.
It's still Tavares, right? So they're going to have to switch at some point on the ice. Maybe to get a little more depth. Maybe you're going to have a star player on all three lines. So Willie Nylander is going to be your third-line center. He's not a third-line player.
Right.
So I don't want him on the third line. I want two lines stacked up, and ultimately I want to see Tavares with Nylander, and I would like to see Matthew Knies playing with those guys because I believe this will be a good opportunity for Tavares to have someone on his line who can play with him below the goal line. Like that kind of cycle game where they chew up the clock and prolong offensive zone opportunities. Knies, if he plays up to his capability, can give them that look. So now's the time if you're going to tinker with things. Sheldon Keefe likes to have a very versatile lineup, as we've seen. There's a lot of moving parts. So now's the time to just give it a run. But ultimately, he's a winger.
What did you make of the comments from Jack Campbell and Stuart Skinner? First of all, I like that. I like that they're just honest about the fact they like each other, and it's an unusual situation. I know you weren't a goaltender, but you've been around so many goaltenders. It's an unusual situation. They're in competition all the time, and yet it's better for the room if they get along, right?
Yeah, of course. It's better for teammates to get along in general. But for that team specifically, both those guys are going to need to chew up a significant amount of the workload for that team to be successful. And it's not really like regular season success. That's going to come just because of how good that team is and who they have up front and how they're built. But when it comes to playoff time, like, you need to know that one of these guys is going to be ready to carry the mail. And if that player isn't, if that goaltender isn't, Jay Woodcroft needs to know when to make the switch. And he made the switch to Jack Campbell a few times throughout the course of the last playoffs. But because the regular season was so poor, it felt like he didn't want to go to that to start the game. It was something he went to during the game. So, you know, for that team to work, that tandem to work, it's going to be 42 starts for one, 40 starts for the other. And you need one guy to really separate themselves from the other when it comes playoff time, because that was one of the things that was missing for that team. Like, they're going to be very strong offensively. I think the blue line's been bolstered. They play a better defensive game, but they're going to need a goaltender who can make some saves at crucial times. And Jack Campbell would be a great candidate to have a bounce-back season this year, and I hope he does it. Like, he seems like a genuine guy, and it seems like a genuine relationship those two guys have built.
Seems like they put the work in, too. Steven Stamkos always puts the work in. I love these comments from him. Just come right out and say it. Be honest about it. You're not happy about your contract situation. What did you think, Frankie?
Well, Tyler Seguin did something similar to this in 2018. It was right before training camp. He said something about a contract. 2 weeks later, there was a contract done.
Right.
And it was a big, juicy extension. I don't think Stamkos is looking for a big, juicy extension. I think he's looking for something fair.
Yeah.
And he has every right to look for something fair. He's been such a good soldier for the Tampa Bay Lightning. You think about all he's been through. He's played a lot of 82-game seasons, but he's been hurt a lot. And some of those things have been flukes. He's played through a lot of injuries. Ultimately, he's brought Stanley Cups there. You can make the argument that when he got drafted there, he helped turn that franchise around and turn it into the hockey town
100%.
that Tampa Bay is now. And Steven Stamkos has a lot to do with that. I would imagine, when you look at the way the last negotiation went with Stamkos, he just wanted something fair that was going to keep him in Tampa Bay, that was going to keep that team competitive. Ultimately, he got that contract. The team was competitive. They had a lot of success. What do you think he's looking for now? He's going to be 34 years old when he's a UFA. He probably just wants something fair. I don't know what that number is. Is it $6.5 million? Is it $7 million? Regardless of what it is, if he's a 30-goal scorer and he's an 80-point player at 34 years old, 35 years old, he's worth every penny, and the Tampa Bay Lightning should be paying him.
Well, and you think of William Nylander, who is obviously willing to wait things out. For Stamkos, it seems like, listen, as you said, I am 34 years old. I'm willing to talk right now. Like, he didn't say, no, we're shelving talks for the rest of the season. He's like, let's get talking. Let's talk now.
Well, and he should be. Like, he's done a lot there, and he's still a very productive player. It's not like it's a guy that you're going to have to bury lower in the lineup.
Yeah.
So, like, he can almost sleepwalk his way to 30 goals.
Right.
And he's still going to be playing with very good players. And I wonder if he looks around and he says, well, you found term for a lot of other guys that aren't quite me,
Right.
you know, and what he's done there. So he deserves to finish his career as a Tampa Bay Lightning on his own terms, making a fair salary for himself and for the team.
It's surprising they haven't gotten it done for just those reasons you mentioned. Jets and Sens also open camp on Wednesday. Frankie, if you stick around, we'll talk about your thoughts on the key injury and how Rick Bowness plans to approach camp. That's going to be a little later on the show, right here on SportsCenter with Jay Onrait.